Welcome to the deep dive. And today we are jumping straight in. We have to talk about the fallout from what was, one of the most mesmerizing, high-stakes qualifying sessions F1 has delivered all year.
Oh, absolutely. Mesmerizing is the right word.
This wasn't just fast driving. This was chaotic, beautiful, and it fundamentally rewrote the championship script.
It really did. And that's our mission today. We're going to take all the sources, all the post-session notes, and just, unpack this whole thing. We need to look at the drivers who mastered it, the teams that got the calls right, and, well, the championship math that has completely shifted.
I think we have to start with the conditions themselves.
Yeah.
Because for all the arguments we hear, that you can't race in the extreme wet in modern F1, this qualifying session was a total rebuttal.
A complete rebuttal. Every single driver went out on the extreme wets, and they worked. They proved effective. It was a genuine recital of skill.
And what a recital it was. Q1 especially, that was just pure driver ability over the car.
Exactly. When the track is that treacherous, the difference between P1 and P20, that comes down to the driver's hands. It's not just about the aero. We saw poetry out there.
Yeah.
Drivers just finding grip where there was none, correcting these huge slides.
Flirting with the red flag every single second. That's the perfect way to put it. Just high stakes, high adrenaline theater.
And this is where the context is really crucial for you to understand. A wet qualifying session is not the same as a wet race.
Right.
In qualifying, the cars are spread out. The drivers can manage visibility. They can find clear patches of air and minimize that spray.
It's not the whiteout we see in a race.
Exactly. The real danger is that train of 6 or 8 cars where nobody can see a thing.
Yeah.
This was different. This was a pure driving challenge, and it was executed safely.
Okay, so let's talk about the drivers who excelled in that challenge. Carlos Sainz. Just sublime. He gets P3, and it just reinforces his reputation as a master in these mixed, complicated conditions. We've seen it before, right? Like in Baku.
He was extraordinary. P3 in Q2 on the extreme wets, and then he nailed the transition to inters for P3 in Q3. For a while there, his lap times were just better than what the top teams could manage.
But the genius of it was that final run in Q3.
Yes.
Yeah.
The timing. He was out of sequence, so he made a tactical decision. He aborted an earlier lap.
Which looked like a mistake at first.
But it wasn't. It was strategy. He did it to let the track evolve just a little bit more, and then he timed his final push perfectly to use every last bit of grip at the very end. That's what sealed P3.
But of course, with Sainz, there's always drama that follows. He's now facing an investigation for an unsafe rejoin.
Yeah, at turn 5 in Q1, he ran wide and then found himself blocking the line a bit just as Lance Stroll was coming through.
And that could be huge for his grid position.
It could be, but it's a decision that really hangs on nuance and intent. Sainz's defense is, well, it's multi-layered.
Okay, so what's the argument?
First, when he went off, a yellow flag was already out in that sector, so Stroll was already obligated to slow down.
Right, so he wasn't on a full pelt flying lap.
Exactly. Second, Sainz argues his goal was just to get out of that dangerous runoff area as quickly as he could to remove the yellow flag status itself. He was trying to clear the hazard.
So he was trying to solve the problem he created, but maybe created another one in the process.
Precisely. And the fact that Stroll did have to visibly change his line, that's what technically makes it an unsafe rejoin.
But there are mitigating factors here.
Huge ones. The FIA has to weigh the fact that Stroll was already lifting because of the yellow, and crucially, Stroll's lap time in that sector was already deleted because of double yellows. So if you're the FIA, you have to ask, was a competitive lap actually ruined?
So if Stroll's lap was already gone, does that not basically remove the harm done?
It really shifts the focus. It makes a 3-place grid drop, which is for clear obstruction, seem pretty unlikely. Maybe a reprimand, maybe a fine, but it's a real tightrope for them to walk.
It is. And speaking of tightropes, if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to the Deep Dive by DRS Zone. We're thrilled to have you here. And don't forget to subscribe for more of this detailed, in-depth F1 analysis, because now we have to shift from that investigation to the biggest picture of all, the championship fight.
And those top 3 positions, Norris P1, Verstappen P2, Sainz P3, they change everything.
Let's start with McLaren. Lando Norris, P1. He is on a champion-like run right now. Just seems untouchable.
He does.
Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri gets P5, but he had a really close shave, nearly dropped out in Q2.
Very nearly. He needed that final lap to stick, and he got lucky that a few drivers behind him couldn't improve.
So let's lay out the numbers, the harsh reality of the championship math based on these results.
Okay, so if the race finishes like this, Norris P1 and Piastri P5, Lando's lead explodes. It goes to 39 points.
Wow.
And with only 53 points left to play for in the last 2 Grand Prix, not counting the sprint, Piastri's mathematical hopes are, well, they're hanging by a thread.
So he needs an astronomical swing this weekend.
He needs a 14-point swing on Sunday just to stay mathematically alive through the next race. So that means he has to win, and Norris has to finish P5 or worse.
And given Norris's current form, that seems like a bridge too far.
It does. And the sources we're seeing suggest that Piastri has kind of diluted or even disappeared since the midseason break.
I want to push back on that word disappeared a little. I mean, we're talking about a driver who is still consistently P4 or P5.
True.
Is it that Piastri has dropped off, or is it just that Lando Norris has found another gear that almost nobody else on the grid can match right now?
That is the essential question. Norris has definitely found another level. But some sources suggest Piastri's issues might trace back to some setup changes, specifically with the suspension, around the time of the Canadian Grand Prix.
Ah, so a fundamental change to the car.
It could be. If you change something that impacts confidence, especially under braking, it can just linger. It might not be a lack of talent. It might just be a subtle lack of feel with the car compared to his teammate who looks totally at one with it.
So Piastri is fighting the car while Norris is flowing with it.
That's a good way to put it. And to complicate it all, you've got Max Verstappen sitting in P2.
Who is basically out of the title fight with Norris. The gap is just too big now. But he could absolutely play spoiler.
He's the ultimate wild card.
Yeah.
He's racing without championship pressure, which makes him incredibly dangerous. But here's the really surprising detail we found.
Oh, on?
Verstappen, on 359 points, is now only 15 points behind Piastri.
Wait, for P2 in the overall standings?
Exactly. Verstappen is chasing Piastri for second in the championship. His late-season comeback after those awful mid-season struggles has become a major storyline. It would be remarkable if he pulled that off.
That's incredible. Okay, let's move away from the front for a second. We have to talk about Fernando Alonso. P7.
Magic.
It's just magic. The Aston Martin was what considered the 9th best car this weekend. To put it P7 in these conditions is just a masterclass.
It proves that when the grip goes away, the driver's hands just matter so much more than the spec sheet.
It really does.
And let's give the team some credit this time, too. Aston Martin's strategy was excellent. They were proactive. They were one of the first to switch to the full wets in Q1. That's a great sign for them.
And in sharp contrast to that, we have the struggles at Mercedes and Ferrari. Mercedes got that setup sheet investigation cleared up, and Russell pulled off a decent P4, but their rookie, Antonelli, was way down in P17.
But the headline, the biggest disappointment of the day, has to be Lewis Hamilton. P20. Dead last.
It's just the continuation of what he's called his nightmare season.
Yeah.
I mean, Leclerc was P9, which is also disappointing for Ferrari, but he was still 2 seconds faster than Hamilton in Q1.
That gap is staggering.
And it forces us to look at the Hamilton-Ferrari dynamic. If this doesn't get better and fast, he really risks being, crushed by the Maranello grinder.
We've seen this cycle before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Huge talents go there. Vettel, Raikkonen, Alonso, and they don't win the championship, and the pressure just seems to wear them down.
So is it the driver or is it the team?
That's the systemic question. When you see this parade of generational talents go through Maranello since 2010 and not win a driver's title, it strongly suggests the problem is deeper. It's in the structure, the politics, the pressure.
But with Hamilton, it's not just the team, is it? We have to talk about his specific struggles since these new ground effect regulations came in.
Absolutely. The sources indicate he really struggles with this generation of car. They require a very stiff, very low setup to work, which can make the rear end nervous and tricky.
Which is the opposite of what he's always been good at.
Exactly. His strength was always a stable rear axle he could lean on. This new era requires a much more aggressive, knife-edge style, and it's an evolution of the sport he just hasn't fully unlocked yet.
So whether it's the team structure or the car's philosophy, the result is the same. P20 on the grid.
It is. And that dream of seeing Hamilton versus Verstappen in different top teams just hasn't happened. The gap right now is painful to watch.
What an intense session. I mean, a showcase of pure driving genius from Norris, strategic brilliance from Sainz, and a massive shift in the championship fight.
And it leaves us with these deep structural questions when you see Alonso's P7 magic right next to Hamilton's P20 nightmare.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to consider. Looking at these contrasting fortunes, Norris on pole, Alonso P7 in the 9th best car, and Hamilton P20 in a much better machine, what single factor do you believe is most responsible for transforming a P20 into a P1 in F1 today?
Is it the team's strategy calls? Is it this specific car designed for this ground effect era? Or is it just that pure, unquantifiable driver confidence and momentum?
That's the question to ponder until the lights go out. Thank you for diving deep into the chaos with us. Make sure you subscribe and follow DRS Zone wherever you get your content for all our future in-depth F1 analysis. We'll see you next time.